Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Responses to Critics. Imam Karim Abuzaid, this will be the third and final part, hopefully. And you're watching Quranist Network Television, QNet TV. So far we have been refuting, or rather countering, or responding to Imam Karim Abuzaid's refutation of the Quranist position. Now we move on to minute 4, still minute 4, where Imam Karim says, he quotes chapter 59 verse 7, which says وَمَا أَتَاكُمْ رَسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ. So, but Imam Karim, number one, he does not even give the reference. Number two, he translates it as take what the messenger tells you. The word atakum does not mean tell you. It means give you. Take what the messenger gives you. And it's very, I would say, it was a great irony that the Imam Karim Abuzaid would mention this now, because it made me think that, wait a minute, why doesn't it say take what the messenger tells you? You know, basically, it could be commands you, like amrukum, for example. It doesn't say that. It says atakum, give you. Why? Because Imam Karim needs to actually look at the verse. It's chapter 59, verse 7, and it talks about the gains made by the believers. In fact, the entire chapter 59 is about the believers' administration. Hadith does not come into it at all. Yet, the way Imam Karim quotes the Quran in such a careless way, he cuts off half the verse. Number one, he rips the verse out of its context, and then he mistranslates the verse. Atakum, he says, وَمَا أَتَاكُمْ رَسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ. And take what the messenger tells you. Sorry, the word tells you or commands you isn't there. Why would it be that? Allah uses the word ata for for zakat, for example. Aqimus salat wa atuz zakat. So there, it's obviously not telling, is it? So it's take what the messenger gives you. And furthermore, it's wa ma atakum rasulu fakhudhu. Wa, and does not come out of nowhere. It must be read in full. Don't even read the passage if you don't want to. Read just that one verse, that one ayah, chapter 59, Al-Hashr, ayah 7. So, Imam Karim, sir, I would ask you to please treat the Quran with a deeper respect. I mean, you are obviously a believer in the Quran, and if you are a believer in the Quran, you should treat the Quran with a little bit more respect. Open the Quran, show us the ayah, read the ayah from beginning to end, and then try to justify your interpretation. You will find it a little bit more difficult, sir, I would say. So the next argument Imam Karim gives is, he says that the Sunnah and Hadith are a science. They are not subject to personal whims. So in other words, this was very objectively performed by the Muhaddithin. They objectively brought the Hadith literature together, and there can be no dispute as to what constitutes Hadith, the legitimate Hadith, sorry. Is this correct? Now all you have to do really is basically go from Sahih Bukhari to the modern day Ahl al-Hadith. Do they accept Sahih Bukhari in full? No, they do not. And we're talking about Nasiruddin al-Albani, the Shaykh al-Hadith from Saudi Arabia. He doesn't accept all of Sahih Bukhari. No. This is just a matter of personal interpretation. You believe that Bukhari brought forward 6,000 hadith which are sound. And this is your personal interpretation. What if we don't trust Bukhari? What makes Bukhari binding on us? If we read Bukhari and we find glaring contradictions with the Quran, are we supposed to just cover our eyes and just accept it? No, no. It is possible for the ulama themselves, to reject even Sahih Hadith. They can do it, but they don't want anyone else to do it. So it is a protection which they have afforded Hadith literature without the authority from Allah. Next argument, dhikr. Imam Karim quotes chapter 15 verse 9, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra. Verily we have descended a dhikr. Wa inna lahu lahafizun, and verily we are its protectors. So he says dhikr is Quran and Hadith. Really? Dhikr is Quran and Hadith? Why don't we have a read of Yasin, ayah 69, which says, let me just get it. وَمَا أَلَّمْنَهُ الشِّعْرَ وَمَا يَنْبَغِي لَهُ, and we have not instructed him in poetry, nor is it meet for him. Now here's where it says, وَإِنْ هُوَ sorry, no, there's no wa there. إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا ذِكْرٌ وَقُرْآنٌ مُبِينٌ. Verily this is dhikr and a clear Quran. Where is the sunnah here? Why is the sunnah not mentioned at all? Chapter 38 verse 1, Sa'ad wal Quran the dhikr, by the Quran which possesses a dhikr. So where is the sunnah connected with dhikr? It's not. So again, I mean, if you make a tafsir of the Quran, you say, okay, here dhikr means this, it must corroborate with the rest of the Quran. The Quran cannot say dhikr, here it means Quran and Sunnah, there it just refers to the Quran. That would be ridiculous. It does not fit with the consistency of the Quran. So here the Imam has indeed misinterpreted this idea. Dhikr is always the Quran. And you will see it in the Muslim world as well. He claims that dhikr was memorized hadith at the time. Back then, the hafiz actually refers to those who memorize hadith. If this is true, why do we need Bukhari? Bukhari traveled across the Muslim world looking for hadith. So if the hafiz were all there, I mean everyone was memorizing Quran and hadith, why did we need Bukhari? I mean, why did we even need anyone after the companions? Now imagine with the Quran was preserved from the beginning, yeah? If you go to the Muslim world, all over the Muslim world, they are reciting the same text everywhere, and you will see it. But with hadith, you needed Bukhari to come along about 200 plus years later, and Bukhari actually had to go around compiling hadith. How is it then that these hadith were memorized by everyone? No, it wasn't. Apparently, the Imam also said in minute 8 that some guy had to travel to Iraq in order to find the same hadith but with a shorter isnad. How do you go somewhere and you just meet a guy and the guy says, well, here I think the isnad, the chain of narration, is shorter? How can you trust the guy? You know, these stories, they are laden with conjecture. All you have are names upon names upon names, and apparently these names validate that information. The information system contradicts each other, contradicts the Quran, yet they are called authoritative, and if you reject them, you are rejecting the religion. This does not make any sense. I would ask you this, I would ask the Imam, and I would ask my dear viewers this. If you were Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, the first caliph of Islam, from 632 to 634 of the Christian era, he ruled the empire of Islam. If you were Abu Bakr and you knew that the mission of Islam was to spread the deen throughout the world, would you not want the hadith and sunnah compiled? Would you not gather all the companions? And remember, before that, during that time, there was no civil war yet. The civil war came during the time of Ali. But during the time of Abu Bakr and Umar, there was no civil war yet. Wouldn't you bring everyone together? Wouldn't you actually tell them, look, the Prophet has passed on, let's compile everything we know about him. Let's all agree which is sahih, which is authentic. Let's codify all those authentic book in all those authentic information in one book or several books, as the case may be. Let's all sign it. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, everyone will agree that this is it. He didn't do that. He burnt hadith, yes. Apparently he burnt hadith because he didn't want it to be emphasized over the Quran. He did not compile hadith separately. Some people, for example, some traditionalists like Bassam Zawadi, he says that the hadith was not written down because it would have mixed up with the Quran, and basically this would have caused confusion. I would like to ask anyone who says that, have you read the Quran? Have you not seen how the Quran is such a different genre of literature than hadith? The Quran is a very straight, direct dialogue to you. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ya ayyuhan nas. Ya ayyuhan ladina amanu. This is the Quran speech. It's a very specific mode of speech, as opposed to a hadith, which sounds more like a biblical narrative. So, for Arabs at the time who were with the Prophet, would they have confused hadith and Quran? If they did confuse hadith and Quran, then the traditionalist argument that the Quran's mu'jiza, its irreproducibility, is due to its superior eloquence, that argument falls apart. You see? So, no, hadith was never written down because it's not authorized information. Abu Bakr did not authorize it, Umar did not authorize it. It came about 200 years after the Prophet, solidified 200 years after the Prophet, because at the time, the Abbasiyah, they required something to go against the Shia. The Shia were gaining influence, so the Abbasiyah authorized the orthodoxification of Sunniism. That's why Ash-Shafi'i legitimized al-Hikmah to mean hadith. And when he did so, the compilation and authentication of hadith began. That is Islamic history. So with that, I close the refutation to Imam Karim Abuzaid. I'm sorry, I just passed the time limit a little bit. With that, I must say though that Imam Karim was very gracious in that he called them my brothers in Islam, or my brothers rather, not in Islam, but my brothers. So that's very gracious of him. This is not a matter of takfir. We are not calling anyone kuffar here. We are just disagreeing with them in how we understand Islam. I am a Quranist. I understand Islam through the Quran as the sole divine authority. He is a traditionalist. He understands Islam through the Quran, understood by what he considers to be the companions and the scholars. That's fine. We're having a discussion. Do not confuse this with some kind of an excommunicative rant. It is not. We are not QFs. We are not Quranist fundamentalists. Thank you for viewing this responses to critics. Inshallah, we will be producing more and more videos talking about Quranism in the world and our movement. Thank you for your viewership. Bye.